We are back. Today, as of the time I'm recording this, SNEASLER, Menace to Society, #1 op of Pokemon players everywhere, has won yet another regional. So I think it's about time we make the how do you beat SNEASLER video. And there's a couple of ways to beat SNEASLER. I'll explain. Like SNEASLER, I'm gonna explain like Pokemon that beat SNEASLER in a vacuum. But then I'll also explain like generally things to do when you're playing against SNEASLER. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. If you guys enjoyed this standpoint of time, do me a favor, leave a like in the video, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications, Gamersupps ad here. This channel is partnered with Gamersupps. If you want to support my work and get great tasting drinks, you can order Gamersupps through my link in the description down below or with code Moxie boosted at checkout for 10% off. Gamersupps is a caffeinated product that I recommend only to my 18+ viewers, but my link will send you to their caffeine-free product section just in case. Every product purchased through my link supports my channel financially, so I'd really appreciate the support. Now back to the video. Yes, you should buy Gamersupps. It's a really good product. But let's talk about SNEASLER first. So what is SNEASLER? Who is SNEASLER? Why did we get this Menace to Society? So SNEASLER is a pretty interesting Pokemon right now. It is #1 in usage for the past 2-3 tournaments. And that's pretty apparent as to why. 120 in Regulation H is actually a pretty high speed tier, all things considered. The only relevant Pokemon outspeeding it are going to be Dragapult, Talonflame, and occasionally you'll see a Meowscarada. But also, like, if you're running Adamant SNEASLER, you'll get outsped by Pokemon like Jolly Mousehold or Timid Hisuian, Zoroark, and Alola Ninetales. So that is something to consider. But, you know, Jolly SNEASLER, one of the fastest Pokemon of the format. 130 attack, 120 speed. Some pretty acceptable bulk for what you are. 80 HP, 60, 80. Like, that's fairly acceptable. The reason SNEASLER sees heavy usage is because it is this fast offensive Pokemon with high base power moves like Close Combat, and of course its BS move, Dire Claw. And it is the fast physical attacker of the format. It is like the arbiter of speed, since Dragapult isn't as nearly as splashable as it. It is this Pokemon. It is the Pokemon that fills a lot of roles. It's sort of like Fluttermane is how Adi likes to put it, because it's able to fill a large amount of niches on teams. For example, you can just run like your Focus Sash, Unburden SNEASLER with Close Combat, Dire Claw, Protect, Throat Chop, right? Or you can actually go ahead and run a similar SNEASLER with Close Combat, Dire Claw, Coaching, Protect, and like Terra Flying next to Garchomp or something like that. You can even run just like, you know, Fake Out, Protect with Focus Sash as well. You can run Poison Touch, which makes it so you're basically always going to poison something. And of course, we have to talk about its other set that it can run. The Unburdened, Psychic Seed, and Unburdened Grassy Seed. Those sets are also quite good. It's going to be really good on Psy Spam since you're not going to be able to be faked out. You're going to be able to pair it well with Indeedee, clicking Expanding Force, and then this thing just hits all the dark types with Close Combat that will be able to be immune to Expanding Force. So it's a really good Pokemon. It fits on like virtually every team if you if you want a fighting type or a poison type, mostly for the fighting type. But now we have to talk about Dire Claw, the thing that actually breaks this Pokemon a little bit. Dire Claw is a very stupid move that they probably should have never made. Okay, let me explain. So you have a 50% chance to sleep, poison, or paralyze a target. I want you to realize that this is just Poison Jab, but better. Poison Jab, 80 base power, 100% accuracy, 32 PP, 30% chance to poison the target. Dire Claw, 80 accuracy, 100 or 80 power, 100 accuracy, 24 PP, 50% chance to sleep, poison, or paralyze. It doesn't matter which one you get benefit out of it. So 1 in every 2 Dire Claws has a chance to paralyze, which is speed control. It might even just shut down the Pokemon altogether. Poison, which is the worst of them. You would rather have the other two most of the time, unless you're facing something like, I don't know, a really bulky non-steel type. I can't think of one of them. Like T-Tar with a million coachings into it, and you can't break it. I don't know. And finally, sleep, the most broken one. On many occasions, you will click Dire Claw, and something will go to sleep, and it will not get to play the game. That's the main issue. So SNEASLER is a Pokemon with its flaws. It is not super bulky. It can't hit ghost types for stab damage that is not resisted. And steel types, it has to click close combat into, which they can Terra out of, and then you would much rather have clicked Claw. Or into non-steel types, they can Terra into steel, and then Claw bounces off of them because it's completely immune to it. So that's the thing. Giving a Pokemon a broken poison move with stab close combat as a backup makes it so, like, normally you would have steel types, the only type immune to poison moves, be able to switch in on it. It's like, no, they actually can't. So we're going to talk about a few ways to beat it. We're just going to go through the list. I'll talk about how these Pokemon beat Sneasler in a vacuum, and then I'll talk about, like, broader strategies to beat Sneasler, or maybe why these Pokemon fit a broader strategy. Sneasler is not a one-man army. It is not as broken as people like to put it out to be, but it is very, 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 very good. In the same way Fluttermane was very good. So, one of the ways people have adapted to beat Sneasler is running Lumberry on Pokemon. Notably, Dragonite is a very good Lumberry user. Dragonite's able to click moves like Stomping Tantrum or Flying Terra Blast into the Sneasler, and then follow it up with an Extreme Speed to pick up the KO. Multiscale also makes it so that Claw is going to mostly bounce off of you. But yeah, basically, the Lumberry being able to cure any status once is very, very good, since you're going to knock Sneasler down to its sash and then pick it up with Extreme Speed. On top of that, you might not even need to burn the Lumberry, allowing you to use it later on. But it is very annoying because Claw has a 50% chance to make you burn the Lumberry, and then you got to deal with it. But Dragonite broadly is just a very good Pokemon into it. Obviously, Stab Terra Blast is good into not only Sneasler, but also its partners. You know, Sneasler tends to be paired with Pokemon like Rillaboom and stuff, so being able to hit the grass types next to it, being able to hit the fighting types on the other team, if they have multiple fighting types, usually it's just Sneasler, because we don't have a lot of fighting types. But Dragonite's very solid. You're also able to hit Golden Go for super effective damage with Stomping Tantrum, which that's another phenomenal Sneasler partner. So yeah, the other way to beat Sneasler, this way is actually really cool because it's able to avoid having to deal with the Focus Sash Unburden stuff, because there are some like Terra Ghost Sneasler that will Terra Ghost in front of you and make it so you can't hit him with the E-Speed, and then you just get Dire Clawed anyways and lose. Dragonite with Loaded Dice is an adaptation that's been made. Multiscale is kind of essential here because you're going to be dropping your defense stat to use Scale Shot, but Loaded Dice Scale Shot's really good. You're going to be dealing enough damage to one-shot Sneasler. Let me actually just go ahead and load this one up. So Dragonite, Dragonite, let's go Choice Band. We'll take off the Choice Band, and we'll give it Scale Shot. Can actually take a look at this. So Scale Shot, if it hits 4 times off of Adamant Dragonite with max attack, it's going to be doing 94 to 115%. So you have a 93% chance to KO Sneasler without having to get the 5th hit, because Loaded Dice guarantees you get at least 4 hits of your Scale Shot. Granted, you actually connect it. Unfortunately, Scale Shot is a move that misses 1 in 10 times. But yeah, that is just a 1-shot on Sneasler, or a 4-shot. And if you do get the 5 hits, it's a guaranteed KO, making it so if you're at like -1, you're actually still able to come pretty close to picking up Sneasler, especially if it's chipped down. So that allows you to bypass the Focus Sash, making it so you don't have to deal with it. And then beyond that, just Loaded Dice Scale Shot's a really good set on this guy. If you hit 130 speed, you're outspeeding Adamant Dragapult, allowing you to follow up with a second Scale Shot. And it's just, you know, Loaded Dice Dragonite. I'm not a big fan of it right now, but a lot of people are running it at the moment for this very reason. Being able to speed boost and have a effectively base 125 power move with almost no drawbacks, other than the defense drop, is really solid. Volcarona. Volcarona in a vacuum does beat Sneasler, but only if you run a particular set. Covert Cloak is very, very good into Sneasler. It makes it, like, this item in general is just really good because it allows you to block any secondary effects of moves. So Dire Claw will never actually do anything to a Covert Cloak Pokemon. I actually don't know how it works with Poison Touch. I don't believe Poison Touch is blocked by Covert Cloak, but I could be wrong there. Not that it matters. Most of them are unburdened at the moment, but Poison Touch is a thing. But if we actually look at this Volcarona set, into Adamant Sneasler, Dire Claw is going to be doing less than half. So that allows for you to go for Heat Waves into it. You could also, if you want to not run Heat Wave, you can run Overheat for like a burst damage move. And then your Overheat's going to be doing a pretty substantial amount to Sneasler. You can see it's going to be doing 75 to 89%. On top of that, you're able to redirect Dire Claws into this Volcarona. You can Rage Powder, making it so you're protecting Pokemon from close combat, which close combat does mostly bounce off you 36%. because it's resisted is really, really good. You also have the chance to burn the Sneasler because of Flame Body. That's awesome. And Volcarona is just a generally good fire type, which it's a solid speed tier. You can see this one. I just made it so it outspeeds Pelipper. I don't want to get like Weather Balled or Hurricaned. So yeah, old Volcarona, solid choice right now. I like the Pokemon. Very, very solid. Speaking of solid, we're going to talk about solid gold here. Golden Go, in a vacuum, just beats Sneasler. Sneasler does not touch Golden Go because it is a Ghost and Steel type. Make it rain, Shadow Ball, Trick, Thunderbolt. You don't have to think about anything into the Sneasler matchup unless they have Throat Chop, which Throat Chop is falling off right now. Most Sneasler cannot actually hit Golden Go. They used to run Throat Chop specifically to hit Golden Go because it is super effective damage, and it does some pretty substantial damage, especially if they Terra Dark. It comes close to one-shotting. But as a Ghost Steel type, you're blocking Dire Claw, you're blocking close combat. You just have to be careful to not get into a bad position next to partners that you see a lot with Sneasler, like Kingambit, like Garchomp. Basically, if you manage to get to a Sneasler endgame, Golden Go will just win. Actually, if you watch top 4 of Lil Regionals, you can see that the Golden Go on the other side of the field was probably going to win the match versus the Indeedee Sneasler 2v1 because Sneasler couldn't hit it and it could one-shot Indeedee with Make It Rain. But it got outsped and crit by Expanding Force and lost the set. Had that crit not happened, Golden Go would have 2v1 that. So that's actually really solid. Next Pokemon that we can talk about is Basculegion. Basculegion is a Ghost type, meaning that you are resisting Dire Claw and you are immune to close combat. And Scarf Basculegion will outspeed opposing Sneasler, allowing for you to go for Adaptability Wave Crash, one-shotting the Sneasler, or Adaptability Last Respects, one-shotting the Sneasler. This is more of an endgame Pokemon, but you do have to choice Scarf it to outspeed the Sneasler, so you don't have to deal with the Dire Claw. Honestly, it probably deals the Sneasler just fine, even without the Scarf, but you just have to be careful to, you know, not get not get Dire Claw. That's like the main issue. Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze and I don't have a pause button on the setup. Okay, I think it passed. I might sneeze, but I'm gonna keep talking until I don't think I have to sneeze. Real awkward pause there. Choice Scarf is Hisuian Typhlosion. Also really solid into it. Once again, Ghost type that is immune to both of Sneasler, not both of Sneasler stabs, but it's going to be good into both of Sneasler stabs because you're immune to close combat and you resist the Dire Claw. You're naturally outspeeding Sneasler and you'll be able to one-shot it with Eruption because it is Eruption. Eruption's a broken move. You also can't be faked out, so with proper speed control, like a Whimsicott next to you, you'll be able to go for that Tailwind Eruption, get the KO, or even the Sunny Day Eruption on the Choice Scarf sets. I did put Choice Scarf on this one because I'm talking about ways to consistently beat Sneasler. Of course, you do have to deal with the opposing Unburdened sets, which are quite annoying, but if you have Tailwind next to this thing, it shouldn't be an issue. Even Unburdened Sneasler will get outsped if you're running the Choice Scarf. But Hisuian Typhlosion is a pretty solid option in the vacuum. Corviknight, once again, another solid option in the vacuum. Honestly, just a solid option even without the vacuum. Iron Defense will allow you to boost your defenses to the point where close combat isn't even like a 3-hit KO. I made it so close combat is a 3-hit KO with the CV spread. But Leftovers will allow you to get constant recovery, Iron Defense, Brave Bird, Body Press, Roost, the usual. Probably defensively, Terra Dragon's like a good idea here. There we go. But yeah, Corviknight's really, really good into Sneasler, but it's also good into Sneasler's partners like Kingambit. You're threatening Kingambit with a one-shot. You're threatening Tyranitar with a one-shot. You wall Garchomp. Like, Corviknight is probably one of the most underrated Pokemon in the format right now. It just won Lil Regionals, so it's probably not going to stay that way. But Corviknight is very, very good right now because it deals with the majority of physical attackers, and this is very much a physical metagame. We have Pokemon like Golden Go, Garchomp, Sneasler, Tyranitar running it. So having a Pokemon that walls almost all those and is able to threaten back major damage with Body Presses and Brave Birds is really solid. So that is something to keep in mind. And finally, Talonflame, the most cope of a Sneasler check that you can have. Covert Cloak, Gale Wings, Brave Bird. You can one-shot with Brave Bird, but then you know what happens next. They activate their Focus Sash. You've lost your priority because you damaged yourself, and you get one shot, and then you get like poisoned, paralyzed, slept by Dire Claw, unless you're Covert Cloak. But you can also just get KO'd from that range. So those are Pokemon that beat Sneasler in a vacuum. But what's like the broader strategy for beating Sneasler? Well, to look at that, we're gonna have to look at Lab Mouse and explore Sneasler's common partners. And you know what's funny? We can click on Sneasler and we can see that there is a lot of usage on this mon. But if we look at teams, we don't even have to look up Sneasler specifically. Sneasler is on a lot of teams. Okay, we'll look up SNEASLER specifically. We'll look up SNEASLER specifically. Find teams. SNEASLER. Search. There we go. We can see that SNEASLER fits in a wide variety of archetypes, but some common trends that we see with the Pokemon is that it very much likes being paired with a strong physical attacking dragon type, because as a poison fighting type, it's able to deal with types that dragons struggle against, like steel types and also fairies. So we see it commonly paired with Garchomp, we see it commonly paired with Dragapult, we see it commonly paired with, well, those are like the two main ones, but also we have like the busted steel next to it, the King Gambit, the Archaludon, the Golden Go. We also have usually a grass type, whether it be a Mungus or Rillaboom. So mainly what you're looking to do is you're looking to remove SNEASLER from play as quickly as possible, because of the fact that Dire Claw is such a volatile move. It can like put something to sleep, paralyze, whatever. The more opportunities they have to click Dire Claw, the more opportunities for bad luck and BS will occur. So effectively, what you want to do is be able to have a Pokemon on the field that is able to either draw SNEASLER's like attention away from your attacker while that attacker deals with the SNEASLER, or you have a Pokemon which checks SNEASLER and its common partners at once. So this is a big reason I'm an advocate for like Covert Cloak Volcarona, because SNEASLER and Rillaboom are such a good combo right now. SNEASLER King Gambit are such a good combo right now. Neither of them really want to deal with Volcarona's Heat Wave. So being able to be a Covert Cloakmon with good bulk and being able to spam a move into both of those while not really fearing either of them is very, very solid. Golden Go is another solid example of this. Being able to click like and make it rain into them while you're walling both of the Pokemon. Obviously not in the case of the King Gambit is very nice. And of course, like Hisuian Typhlosion fits this bill and Corviknight fits this bill. So yeah, making sure you don't activate the Focus Sash and get Unburden going, or at the very least having Tailwind active is also super important, because not having Tailwind versus Unburdened SNEASLER does open you up to a lot of precarious endgames. For example, while Garchomp would normally be a very good answer into SNEASLER because of its natural bulk and ability to one-shot it with Stomping Tantrum, SNEASLER shouldn't go for close combat into you because it's going to... well, I guess it depends. Like, close combat from SNEASLER into Garchomp won't usually one-shot because Garchomp has like the natural defenses, and Rough Skin will break the Focus Sash, allowing for you to follow up with the Stomping Tantrum. So in that situation, like the SNEASLER player has a few options. They can go for the Dire Claw Sleep, which is usually not advised. Usually you're just gambling at that point. Or they can pray for the Paralysis, or pray for the Close Combat Crit. From my experience, they're usually gonna Close Combat. So you need to make sure you're not out of position versus that. You need to make sure that you're outspeeding so you don't have to deal with the chance of a crit, or outspeeding so you don't have to deal with the chance of a Dire Claw. So like really, I honestly, the best way to explain how you deal with SNEASLER is be in good position versus it. And that's sort of a weird way to explain how you beat SNEASLER, but that is genuinely like the type of Pokemon it is. It's like Fluttermane, where it's like, how do you beat Fluttermane? Well, I could list all these individual Pokemon which destroy Fluttermane, you know, like AV King Gambit or Scarf Urshifu, but there's always going to be this outlying situation where maybe the Fluttermane has a speed boost, or maybe Sun is active, or maybe like Tailwind's going, or it has a redirection mod next to it. Genuinely, it's just about not being out of position versus SNEASLER, because SNEASLER, the reason it's annoying is because it's the strong Pokemon. Being out of position will be bad regardless, but it's also a Pokemon where even when you're in position, if you're not guaranteeing like the KO versus it, it is able to go for the Dire Claw into you and just get that luck on it, that get that luck on the play that will just tilt you and make the game so much more frustrating. That's genuinely the main issue with SNEASLER, is it is a Pokemon where even from a poor position, there is a 50% chance that it activates a status that can change the game entirely. And also because of that, it feels like SNEASLER has this passive follow me on it, where players will want to tunnel vision into the SNEASLER and go for it at any chance they can. Like, I need to get it off the field. But that is another pitfall. Sometimes you don't want to tunnel vision to it. Sometimes you see a SNEASLER in the field next to a Rillaboom. You have like a good Mon into that duo. And then you find out SNEASLER's just going to click Protect, Rillaboom's going to Woodhammer, and you lose your answer to it. Like that Garchomp, which would have been able to KO it, is now KO'd because Woodhammer just managed to pick up. So you have to keep that in mind. It really is just getting in good position, whether it's have Trick Room up, outspeed it, KO it, have like a good answer into its partners, or just have a Pokemon like Volcarona or Corviknight that just allows you to sort of like send it into the matchup and like not have to think too much. But then in a best of 3, your opponent will adjust, think about like, okay, maybe I don't bring the Sneasler this game, and then your Corviknight ends up being dead weight. So you have to consider that too. It's a very complex Pokemon to deal with. So I just wanted to give some examples of Pokemon that allow for this matchup to be a little bit more manageable. I guess I could have said Amoonguss as like another answer to it, because you're able to Rage Powder, run Covert Cloak on that guy. But I wanted more proactive answers to it that not only are able to, you know, just redirect into them, or redirect a Sneasler into them, but also be able to sort of KO it on their own. But yeah, this is just a quick little discussion on how I think about Sneasler. Like I said, your mileage may vary. It definitely is like a skill check Pokemon. But yeah, thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.